let's get into hack number 2, and that is find a focal point. And this, I'm talking specifically about hitting right now, but this can be applied whether you're an infielder or really, it's really helpful if you're an outfielder, okay? Because you're a little bit further away from the plate and you really have to make sure your eyes are dialed in, right? But find a focal point. What do I mean by that? Well, I want you to find a specific spot out in the distance that you can look at any ballpark that you ever go to, okay? So this is not something that only your home field has, because obviously you're gonna be playing games on the road, right? And so a couple common focal points that I like to see players use. One is, for a right-handed hitter, either the right or the left field foul pole, okay? Because every single stadium that you go to is gonna have a foul pole. You can also look at, the scoreboard. That might be another thing. You wanna be careful looking at lights, because if the lights are on, that's really gonna kind of blind you, and not every single stadium has lights, right? But find something that's off in the distance. I really like the foul pole because that it's going to be at every single yard, but find something off in the distance that you can look at and that you can rely on no matter where you play. So that's your focal point. That's the very first thing. Now, how do we actually apply this? What am I talking about? Well, let's say I get my sign from my third base coach, right? I step in, boom, I'm ready to go for my at bat, and whatever happens on this pitch, the first pitch, let's say I take it. It's a ball outside, okay? So I take that pitch. Now, we always want to release that pitch, right? Because it's done, it's over with, it's in the past, okay? So whatever you want to do, whether it's kind of wipe the box clean or whatever, but obviously we want to step out of the batter's box again and get our next sign. Now, here's where the focal point comes into play. After I get my sign, I want to dial in my eyes. So what I like to do, I like to hold my bat up like this, and this is also a great thing that you can do to help with your breathing. But I like to look at the label of my bat, okay? So I'm looking at something that's very close to me, right? That's about a foot away from my eyes. So I'm looking at that. I take a deep breath, and then I quickly look at that object out in the distance. So for me, that right field foul pole, I'm looking at that object in the distance, and it's just for a split second, maybe a full second, okay? So I shift my focus from the label here to the foul pole and back to the label, and then I step in. Now, what I just did there, and it takes literally just a couple of seconds, so nobody's even gonna really notice that you're doing this, but what I did there is I shifted my focus from something that's near to something that's far, and then something that's back to near, okay? The big thing is, that's why I told you to have your focal point out in the distance, is because it's something far away, and then quickly you're refocusing on something that's close to you. Well, what do you do when a pitch is thrown, right? Obviously, the pitcher's not as far away as the foul pole, right? But when you're waiting for a pitch to get delivered, and when he finally releases it, you're picking up an object at a distance, and then boom, in a matter of milliseconds, it's gonna be right here, just a couple feet away from you. So you need to be able to shift your focus. I have found that this technique, above anything else, will, I promise you, lock in your eyes on that baseball. If you're struggling with seeing the baseball, if you just feel like, man, I can't pick it up, or I'm not watching it all the way to my bat, I promise you, just try this, and you can work on it in batting practice so you get the hang of it, right? But I promise you, this is gonna make such a big impact. So just right before you step in the batter's box, look at the label, look off in the distance, back at the label, take a deep breath, boom. My eyes are locked in. I go into my soft focus, then he winds up, then I go into my hard focus, and boom, then I start rounding the bases because I saw the ball so well.